The Indiana Fever playing some of the best basketball in the WNBA post-Olympic break. And that opportunity, Caitlin Clark for three, rattles it around for and off and running. Caitlin Clark wins the pass, thread the needle. My goodness, what a play!
The Fever are closing in on clinching a playoff berth. The Chicago Sky fighting for their playoff lives.
The Fever put up 100 and take the series from Chicago 3-1.
Picture this, a rookie steps onto the court facing a team of seasoned pros. The whistle blows and suddenly she's everywhere, scoring, assisting, leading. That's what happened when Caitlin Clark met the Chicago Sky. But the real story, it's what happened next. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Like, you've witnessed the highlights, but statistics don't tell the whole tale of Clark. Why was this collegiate sensation so frustrated in her first professional games? The other teams are in a state of panic since the solution might shock them. How did Caitlin Clark go from rookie to rising star? Let's discuss that. The WNBA is being rocked by a tale of perseverance, personal development, and performances that change the game. The beginning was somewhat muted though. The Indiana Fever and Clark had a terrible 1-8 start to the season. It would be enough to dampen the spirits of an inexperienced player, but Clark seemed unfazed. Envision yourself moving from being the dominant player in college to feeling completely overwhelmed in the professional level. Clark had to deal with that very thing. The author states, "It was not fun. I was frustrated." She wasn't bashful about acknowledging how much of a shock it was to go from college to professional ball. The intriguing part, though, begins here.
McDonley working it around here for the Fever. Good ball movement on this possession. Logo shot. Logo make for Clark. He tips it away and off and running. Caitlin Clark wins the pass. Thread the needle. My goodness, what a play. An and one chance for Temi and the Fever.
She's having the best three-point shooting season of her career, but she can also bang in the paint.
Another assist for Clark, a back-cutting Kelsey Mitchell. The Sky shooting 38%. Caitlin Clark, another three-pointer. 6 threes on the night.
Clark did more than vent her anger. She grasped the broader perspective. I know there's going to be moments where we look back on this and be like, you know, this 1-8 start is going to help us somewhere down the line. That's the mentality of a rising star. Not only optimism, I must say, she was absolutely correct. The Fever are currently enjoying a comfortable 16-16 record. There has been a complete and utter change for the betterment of that. It's the story of a squad that sprang from nowhere to contend for a playoff position. Also, where does it all revolve? Caitlin Clark, you asked. The question is, how was it that she managed to achieve it? From being a disgruntled rookie to a possible rookie of the year, how did Clark get there? Development is the key, my darling. The professional game isn't simply something Clark adapted to, she's beginning to rule it. The way she played in the game against the Chicago Sky proved it. Do you recall the previous discussion of my stats? 31 points, 12 assists, and 4 rebounds. You can call that a statement rather than a good game. Clark exudes self-assurance while playing, which is a rare combination. The playmaking she's doing has the more seasoned players on the lookout, and the figures aren't the only thing that matter. The addition of Clark has revitalized the Fever. She has that unique talent for improving the lives of others around her. Everyone on the team seems to play with more confidence and swagger when she's on the floor. The worst part, though, is that Clark is only at the beginning. She isn't at her best yet. This is just a practice run. As she plays more games, she learns, grows, and improves. That is the main reason why other WNBA clubs are nervous. They are concerned about her future self as much as they are about Clark right now. Though Clark's genius shines through on an individual level, greater things are happening in Indiana. How is it that the Fever are going from being a disjointed group to a well-oiled machine? The answer is causing a stir all throughout the league and might perhaps shock you. You might assume it's just about Clark's statistics, but the Fever have a secret weapon that can outscore any score. The Fever are becoming an unstoppable force because to their incredible team bonding. When it comes to this, Clark isn't bashful about telling everyone. She has been gushing about the off-court and on-court camaraderie among the Fever players. However, this isn't merely about group activities or team-building exercises. Quite the contrary. The point is to forge a bond that manifests as pure basketball brilliance. Contemplate it. When was the last time you watched a team when every player appeared to have perfect timing on their colleagues' whereabouts? Where can silent passes find their mark? Clark is precisely expressing this idea when she discusses the Fever's nonverbal communication during games. However, things start to get intriguing at this point. Clark isn't merely expressing how great it is to be around her colleagues when she says this. She is referring to outcomes. These are the kinds of outcomes that make other WNBA clubs sweat profusely. In case you forgot, we played the Chicago Sky. Do you mean the one in which Clark scored 31 points and had 12 assists? So that game felt smooth if you ask Clark. Excellent, prosperous, and painless. It was as if, with no conscious effort, everything fell into place. Not only that, but it's not limited to Clark. This chemistry is obvious to everyone. She said so herself. According to her, we've already established what our chemistry is and how we want to play. To the other teams in the league, that is a warning shot, not only an act of confidence. Allow me to explain this in greater detail though. How does this chemistry manifest itself when playing basketball? To begin with, it is becoming more apparent in the Fever's enhanced offensive performance. We're talking about the squad that shot 33% from beyond the arc in their matchup with the Sky.
But she's one of the catalysts for her team, playing incredibly well. And I look at someone like Kelsey Mitchell, who has been phenomenal since this season has returned. She has also taken the time to really understand her teammates, their mannerisms, their characteristics, and it has allowed them to play more in rhythm.
Knowing your colleagues' whereabouts and when they will be available to shoot allows you to put up a performance like that, which goes beyond simply terrific shooting. The highlight reel plays and moments aren't the only important parts. Even in the smallest details, this chemistry is becoming apparent. Players' off-ball movements, screen timing, and the split-second decisions that determine possession success or failure. All of these aspects are becoming better as a result of the Fever players getting to know each other's habits and tastes. Clark has been fast to note that this didn't occur suddenly. Spending time together and picking up on each other's playing styles is what led to this. But the reward? Quite large. The Fever are showing signs of being a more intelligent and effective squad. What does this imply for the remaining WNBA teams then? Unfortunately, that's bad news. The Fever are no longer dependent on Clark's singular genius. As a unit, they are improving and will soon be more effective than any individual member could be. For any adversary, that is an intimidating proposition. The Fever's metamorphosis is not only making waves, but it's also shifting the power dynamic. Another squad is plummeting while Indiana is climbing the standings. Their postseason prospects are in jeopardy after 6 consecutive losses. Which side is taking a beating, and will they be able to recover in time? No need to guess, the Chicago Sky is the subject at hand. They were once a WNBA powerhouse, but now they're just trying to stay afloat. This is due to more than only their recent losing run. Reason being, Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever's actions are causing a stir throughout the league. Now we can dissect it. A lousy patch isn't enough to explain the Sky's 6-game losing run. They are in the midst of a full-blown crisis, and their playoff place is in grave danger. The Fever, meantime, are enjoying a new level of popularity that they owes entirely to Clark's sensational performances. Do you recall our prior discussion of the match versus the Sky? Clark was more than just a good player. The entire league is buzzing about her performance. This is a 31-point, 12-assist, 4-rebound performance. On the other hand, statistics aren't everything. Consider the implications for the Fever's postseason prospects of those figures. A statement by Clark summed it up best. This was a big one for us. It almost counts towards 2 when you're in the playoff race. She is now considering more than simply one game at a time. Her focus on the larger goal is what has the other teams in the league on the edge of their seats. However, things start to get intriguing at this point. Clark's performance goes beyond that. She seems almost arrogant in her performance. Meanwhile, did you hear? It's hers to keep. She jokingly interacted with spectators after the game while pointing to the scoreboard. No longer is this a newbie just getting her bearings. What a star. She's well aware of her arrival, and the rest of the Fever squad is starting to feel the same way. That's exactly what Clark had to say. We're just tough to guard. We're playing fluid basketball. there's more to it than that. There's a message for all the other teams in the league. The Fever victories aren't limited to the court. They're altering the rules of the game. Consider the implications for the remaining WNBA teams. As a result, once dominant teams are now watching closely. Once assured playoff spots are now completely open for grabs. Caitlin Clark, a rookie who is performing like an old hand, is right in the middle of it all. But Clark isn't the only one involved. It all comes down to her representation. She represents the fresh spirit and young players of the next generation in the league. They are unhappy with things as they are. This group is coming to cause a stir, and they intend to do it in grand fashion. What does this portend for WNBA's long-term viability then? We might be staring at an entirely different scene if Clark and the Fever maintain this level of performance. Teams who were once dominant may now be unable to compete. Players who were formerly the league's public faces may have to make way for up-and-coming superstars. Still, we must not rush things. There is still a lot of basketball to be played since the season hasn't ended. Even though they're down, the sky aren't out. Plus, Clark and the Fever aren't the only ones in the league who aren't going to sit on all the glory. Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise from inexperienced rookie to WNBA game-changer candidate is astonishing. Remaking the Indiana Fever's fortunes, she goes from a disgruntled newcomer to a self-assured leader. But wait, there's more. Clark isn't finished yet. She has only begun. She is doing more than simply enhancing her own game. She is also helping the team as a whole. To paraphrase Clark, I'm just really thankful for my teammates that stuck with me. A performance that is making waves throughout the league is being propelled by that thankfulness. Beyond statistics, Clark's impact is felt. There will be changes in the game as a result of her fresh enthusiasm and playstyle. She's influencing the whole WNBA, not just individual games. Not to mention that this is only the start. Who will be able to halt Clark's ascent? That is the burning question.